In 1996, a Canadian man with the code name Ninjalicious popularized the term urban explorer. He was talking about a new breed of adventurers who like to prowl in places that are otherwise considered off limits. Places like abandoned buildings, subway tunnels, and sewers. Since then, urban exploration has flourished around the world and right under our feet. Most of these people now call themselves drainers and are usually anonymous. But Liam Vu found a Toronto explorer who was willing to give us an invitation into the underworld.
It's a Toronto we never see, and most of us never want to see. A network of cold, wet tunnels just under our feet. For the men and women who call themselves drainers, this is their playground.
The golden rule is check the weather. You don't want it to start raining when you're in there, because you might die. The water fills up very quickly during rainstorms, and it can become very rapid. My name is Jeremy Kai, and I'm fascinated by the unseen city.
Jeremy Kai follows all the rules. And an important one is don't get caught. Because sewer exploring is not just a bizarre hobby, it's also against the law. Jeremy is an explorer and a photographer. His photos of the underground landscape show a haunting beauty. Caverns and streams that have been flushing the city for more than a century. He follows a strict code.
Take only photos, leave nothing but footprints. It really just means to respect the place that you're in.
There are other things to remember, and they can mean the difference between life and death. There's always the chance of toxic gas, and you have to be extra careful how you leave.
You shouldn't exit through any old manhole if you decide to exit that way. You don't know where it is. It could be in the middle of the street. You know, you could get out. There's an 18-wheeler that passes over you and you lose your head.
Jeremy Kai is not a risk taker, but other drainers walk a fine line. In New York subway tunnels, Steve Duncan keeps an eye on the third rail, the rail that carries electricity.
The first thing to watch out for is not hitting the third rail. It'll kill you quick. Next thing to watch out for is not to be run over by trains. Then the third thing to watch out for is not to be seen.
If we get up further and there are workers, we're gonna have to really bail.
You can find drainer videos all over the internet, like these ones on YouTube. It's like they're thumbing their noses at the law. In this London video, they're not exploring, they're running away.
I get caught all the time. I probably get caught at least once a week.
The man hiding his face is Jeff Chapman. He's a Toronto man who died of cancer in 2005. His adventures in the city and his groundbreaking magazine Infiltration made him something of a legend among explorers.
Sort of realize that there's a fourth and a fifth and a sixth dimension to the city, and you sort of can't have anything but sympathy for the people who always live at street level.
In the sewers, Chapman was fussy about hygiene.
I try and always bring along wet naps. I think those are survival tool number one. Wet naps are used for taking care of your hands after you've been climbing a lot of grimy ladders and things like that.
Chapman inspired a new generation of drainers. Jeremy Kai is one of them. Like Chapman, he sees every no entry sign as an invitation.
So it kind of meant the opposite for him. You know, no entry meant explore this now, because there's something inside that no one sees and you're in for a treat.
So Jeremy, this is where it all began, eh?
Yeah, this is, I guess, officially the first place I kind of explored and peeked behind the curtain of what's accepted to be normal life in a city like Toronto.
Jeremy got his start taking pictures of abandoned buildings. A year later, Jeremy graduated to the sewers, but he was looking for more than just an underworld thrill. He wanted to track Toronto's forgotten rivers.
So what are we taking a look at right now?
This looks to be a sculpture of the different watersheds in Toronto. In central Toronto, there's a series of lost rivers that don't exactly appear on this map, but they still exist beneath the streets. So we'll be walking into the ravine, which is actually illustrated by this here.
Great, well, let's head there.
All right. So right now we're actually walking on top of Berry Creek. It was buried sometime in I believe the 1920s. And this portion here is an overflow window. Just being beneath the streets is this whole otherworldly feeling. You're kind of chipping away at the veneer of everyday life. I feel it's important for people who live in the city to daydream more about where they live.
Jeremy collected his favorite images in a book expressing the joy of subterranean exploration, a joy he also found in a poem by Toronto writer Anne Michaels.
There's no city that does not dream from its foundations. The lost lake crumbling in the hands of brickmakers.
There is no city that does not dream from its foundations. The lost lake crumbling in the hands of brickmakers. The floor of the ravine where light lies broken with the memory of rivers. All the winters stored in that geologic garden. Dinosaurs sleep in the subway at Bloor and Shaw, a bed of bones under the rumbling track. The storm that lit the city with the voltage of spring when we were 18 on the clean earth. The ferry ride in the rain, wind wet with wedding music and everything that sings in the carbon of stone and bone. Like a page of love, wind lost from a hand, unread.
And you can see more of Jeremy's photos of Toronto's underworld on our website, global16by9.com. And that is our show for tonight. I'm Carolyn Jarvis. From all of us here, thanks for watching and have a great weekend.